Welcome to the video, everyone. Before we start, a big shout out to our sponsors for today. FOCO. If you don't know what FOCO is, this is what FOCO is. This is what FOCO is.
That is what FOCO is behind his head as well.
Click the link. Check out FOCO. If you use the code cftvyt, 15, you get a 15% discount. They got some really good stuff. Lots of funky gear. Very nice. Little Hawaiian shirt.
Love it.
Check it out.
Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. Welcome back to the channel. I am joined with a good friend of mine, Dazzling Dave from Always Wolves Fan TV. Good to see you, Dave.
Yeah, good to see you, mate, as well. I'm guessing you want to talk about Neto.
How did you guess?
Oh, I have no idea. I wonder why.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, Dave. I didn't see this coming at all. I don't think anyone did. Did you know anything about it as a Wolves fan?
Well, we always thought Neto was going to go this year, to be honest, but it was being linked more so with Manchester City and Tottenham than Chelsea. Tottenham, were quite hot on it the week before. Then out of nowhere, it's just got announced that the deal's got done for Chelsea, and obviously he's gone. But Chelsea sort of came in out of nowhere. Really, they weren't really linked, so it was a bit. I guess it was a surprise to you. It was a surprise to us that it was Chelsea in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with the signing, and I think a lot of people are as well. He is one of the few players that we look at and we go, thank the Lord. He's Premier League proven. He's over the age of 21, and he's got a lot of experience. I suppose the main doubts with the injury records that he's had at Wolves, obviously he's been there, 5 years? And every season it seems like he's been pretty much riddled with injuries. But the great thing is that every time he comes back, he's still okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some, like I said, the ACLs, and he's had some breakdowns from that. Pedro Neto, in the 5 years that he's been at Wolves, has played 42% of the available games that he could. He's played 111 times in the Premier League, scored 11 goals, obviously had a lot of assists. But he really should have played well over 200 games. And that is, is the Achilles heel, and going to be the test. He tends to break down every sort of 10 games or so with something, because he puts so much in, and then he gets it was a hamstring the last time. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing. We thought Arsenal were another team that were linked with him, and we thought, well, he might work out for Arsenal because he could be a backup for Xhaka, and they could mix it so they got Tingy, but it's ended up being Chelsea, and like Chelsea have got like about 50 players. You've got like
way too many players.
You've got so many players. You like buying everybody, and so you've got so much ability and so much talent. And I think the thing with Chelsea is like, what team are you going to play? How's he going to keep everyone happy? And how's Pedro Neto going to be utilised? Is he going to be the main man, or is he just going to be used off the bench?
I honestly think that there is a real place for Pedro Neto in the squad, but I don't see that on the right. And he plays most of the time on the right-hand side. I know he can play on the left. We'll speak about that in a second. But we've got Palmer, who's been playing on the right. He played in pre-season the other day against Inter on the right-hand side. Madueke is better on the right. In the number 10s, I don't think Pedro Neto will be there, but we're pretty stacked in those positions. And then you've got Sterling and Mudryk on the left wing, and they've been poor. So that tells me that Pedro Neto is going to be used as a left winger. But I don't know if I really want to see him. I'd rather see him on the right-hand side. But
to be honest, some people
play him ahead of Palmer in that position.
Some of us would think his best position is on the left. He
has
been playing on the right, but he has played on the left as well, so he can play on either side, and he's good on either side. It depends on obviously how the manager wants to play him. I'll put it out like this: what you're getting from Pedro Neto is someone that's very humble. He arrived to Wolves as a 19-year-old. He's been there for 5 years. You know, he loved Wolves. You know, he really did. You know, he's a young man that came to a foreign country and Wolverhampton. Obviously, we've always had a lot of, you know, in recent years, had the Portuguese contingent. You know, we let Jota go, Diogo Jota go on the basis that we had Pedro Neto coming through because he had such ability. And, you know, he's broken through to be one of the stars of Wolves. On his day, he's world class, fully fit. He's, in my opinion, I think he's world class, fully fit. He's unplayable. He's unplayable. He's that good. He's that good. He can literally. He's got so much confidence to drive and run with the ball, and he's got end product. He can score goals. He can assist goals. He can terrorize defenses. He can run the ball from one end of the pitch, which we really loved him doing last year in the FA Cup game against the Baggies, when he literally off a corner ran the full length of the pitch, turned inside and scored. And he scores goals. He's got everything that you want in a player. He's got great attitude. He's humble. He's a hard worker. And he's got speed, tons of ability, and an end product. The only issue is his fitness. If you keep him fit, he's brilliant. But if you're going to have a player that breaks down every sort of 10 games or so, and he's then out for another 8 weeks, that's the problem. And I'll be really intrigued if he goes through the season without injury, because he hasn't managed it with Wolves at all. I hope he does, you know, for him, because I think he can go to another level.
I suppose even when you look at last season in the Premier League, he was still involved in 11 goals with the 20 appearances he made. And I presume a few of them would have been off the bench, considering he come back from injury. So it's a great output for the games he is playing. I just don't know if you can justify paying that much money and not guaranteeing that he's going to be fit every week, because that has actually been a massive problem for us, Dave. You know, we've had Nkunku, one of the great players that we've signed, Lavia as well. We never saw them last season, you know, and when they came in, I mean, Lavia didn't even play 50 minutes, and Nkunku got a couple of games under his belt, but we missed him for the majority of the season. I actually think that if they were fit, we would have finished in the top 4. That's how much of a difference they made. And if you've got European games that you're contending with as well, I mean, if a player gets injured, I mean, you're stuck. And I mean, from that perspective, I am a little bit concerned. But if you just look at the player, especially on paper, I have to agree with you. He's unplayable. Whenever he came to Stamford Bridge, he tore us apart. I've not got good memories in that sense, but he offers a lot of creativity. I mean, if you actually look at the type of player, you don't look at Neto and say, right, this is a pure goal scorer. He seems to be a player who likes to create for others.
He does. He's very unselfish. He's a team fan. This is what I'm saying. He's got a good attitude. He really, really does have a great attitude. Like you say, like it's £51.5 million plus add-ons. You know, Wolves fans really would have liked 60 million. I think Wolves could have got 60 million for him, because if a bidding war started between Arsenal, Tottenham, City and Chelsea, that price bumps up. But I think they've taken the view that they don't want to do it late in the transfer window. They want to do it early in the transfer window with 3 weeks to go. So we've got that money banked. So that puts Wolves now, because obviously we did struggle last year with selling a lot of players. We sold Kilman to West Ham for 40 million. He cost us £40,000. Pedro Neto is also classed as a homegrown player as well, which is good for Chelsea as well, because of a homegrown player, you have to have an allotment of them. So that's another positive thing for Chelsea. And so between, you know, Max Kilman and Pedro Neto, it will have raised us nigh on £90+ million. So that money, from Wolves' point of view, we bought in Rodrigo Gomez, who's kind of the Pedro Neto replacement, young lad, another young Portuguese lad. off the conveyor belt again from Braga, who we got Pedro Neto from. But we need to strengthen in 2 or 3 areas. Defense, probably so that money hopefully will get reinvested and will come out of it as a stronger squad. And not so reliant on Pedro being fit. So
Yeah,
it is a lot of money. I think it's Wolves' record transfer fee that someone's ever come in for. I think it's a record. Chelsea have seemed to be happy to spend the money. I don't know how you stay within FFP. I really just don't. I think we were all scratching our head. It's like, how are Chelsea spending all this money and staying within FFP? That's the thing that I think a lot of people scratch our heads and go, they spent nearly £2 billion. How's that work?
and I think there's more to come. That's the crazy thing there. I actually think there's more to come. We didn't hear much about Neto. We're not hearing much about Osimhen. I think that deal's going to happen, to be honest with you. And we got João Felix as well. The Gallagher sale is very much dependent on whether Atletico, the Gallagher deal for him to go to Atletico is very much dependent on whether they can sell Omeridion, their striker, who we pulled out on the last minute because I think he had a slight ankle problem in his medical. And then we got João Felix as well. Now, we want to pay the same amount for João Felix that we were going to pay for Omeridion, which is about 35 million. Absolute bargain. Obviously, Atletico don't want to do that, considering they spent over 100 million on Felix, however many years back. But 45 million, 50 million is still a great deal for him. So I think we're going to reinforce in a lot of positions. I mean, we've made some pointless signings as well, Dave. I mean, I think we have 11 goalkeepers, 10 goalkeepers in the squad. We signed about 4.
The line, you'll never lose, will you?
I don't understand it at all. Unless they're changing the rules so that every player can use their hands from now on. I don't
11
think
goalkeepers. Wow.
I think 9 or 10, maybe even 11 goalkeepers. I think we've signed.
I think this is probably the issue with the problem with the new manager's got to get to. And I think Pochettino was sort of getting to grips with it towards the end of last season because obviously you finished strong. I've sort of been watching your pre-season results. They haven't been brilliant, but it's very difficult when you've got so many players to keep everyone happy. And I think that's going to be the tough part, really, for the manager. You've got so many players, so many talented players, and so many of them are going to think, well, I should be starting, let alone not just being in the squad. So I think that's going to be the challenge to get all of these players playing together. We saw it with Forest a couple of years ago when they came up. They called Forest, but you couldn't see the trees for the woods or the woods for the trees because they had literally so many players. And I think that's going to be the big thing. Chelsea have got so much ability and so much talent, but are they a bunch of individuals, or are you going to be able to create a team? And last year, Chelsea, I mean, I saw Wolves play Chelsea. I think we beat you 3 or 4 times in a row, which really we shouldn't be, but we have. You didn't seem to play as a team, more as a bunch of talented individuals. And I think if you get them Chelsea playing as a team, you're going to be obviously a force again. But I think would it be fair to say that's the sort of thing that most Chelsea fans are really waiting to see at the moment?
I think towards the end of the season, we did look like a team, and
you did,
we actually found the balance.
Poch went.
Yeah, there you go. But there's a lot of people that didn't want him. I was one of those people that I thought Poch deserved a chance. Now, if you're going under the strategy of playing a certain philosophy of football and he didn't fit the profile, this and that, that's on the board because they shouldn't have hired him in the first place. But we made the mistake. We move on. I mean, if we can rectify things this window and sign some ready-made players and give Maresca the time, I think anyone coming in with such a big squad needs the time. Graham Potter couldn't deal with it. Thomas Tuchel didn't like it. I don't think it's going to be any different now. But
interestingly enough, mate. Interestingly enough, Wolves' first home game is Chelsea.
That's it, Dave. Well, I'm seeing if I can come over for breakfast with you guys before.
Mate, you're more than welcome. You know that you're more than welcome to, and hopefully that you can sort that so we can have we can break bread together before the game and everything. So that would be really nice. It'd be interesting actually if Pedro Neto takes any part in that game. I know when Jota left Wolves, Liverpool came very close to the start of the season. He wasn't involved at all in that game. Whether or not he didn't feel mentally right as he just left. Be interesting to see. But one thing I do know, and I can guarantee, is that if Pedro Neto does come on the pitch, or he warms up, or he comes on as sub, unlike Mateus Nunes, that down tools and forced to move to City last year, only to sit and get splinters in his bum and break his finger. Pedro Neto will get a really warm reception from the Wolves fans because you can't fault the guy for his attitude and his work ethic. And, you know, he spoke really highly of Wolves as well on his Instagram post when he left. He'll always there'll always be a lot of love for him at Molineux and from the Wolves faithful. So if he does come on, he will get a very warm welcome.
Well, there you go, guys. You've heard it first from the main man, Dazzling Dave himself. Where can people find you, Dave?
So I'm sure you'll probably put a link in the description, but Always Wolves Fan TV on YouTube and Always Wolves Fan TV on everything else. Just search Always Wolves and you'll find us.
Awesome. Well, listen, Dave, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Go and subscribe to Dave down below. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up as well. And we will be back very, very soon for the preview.
All the best.